Abdul Rahman ibn Amru al-Awza'i said that Adam spent 100 years in paradise. In another narration it was said he spent 60 years. Ibn Asakir reported that Adam wept for 60 years for his loss of paradise and 70 years for his mistake, and he wept for another 70 years when his son was killed. They left paradise and descended upon the earth. Adam was sad and Eve was crying. Allah accepted their repentance because it was sincere, and He told them that the earth would be their realm and origin, where they would live and die, and whence they would come on the day of judgment. Allah the Almighty recounted this third lesson Adam learned in paradise. Indeed, we made a covenant with Adam before, but he forgot, and we found on his part no firm will power. Remember when we said to the angels, "Prostrate yourselves to Adam." They prostrated all, except Iblis, who refused. Then we said, "O Adam, verily, this is an enemy to you and to your wife. So let him not get you both out of paradise, so that you be distressed in misery. Verily, you have a promise from us, that you will never be hungry therein, nor naked, and you will suffer not from thirst therein, nor from the sun's heat." Then Satan whispered to him, saying, "O Adam, shall I lead you to the tree of eternity and to a kingdom that will never waste away?" Then they both ate of that tree, and so their private parts appeared to them, and they began to stick on themselves the leaves from paradise for their covering. Thus did Adam disobey his Lord, so he went astray. Then his Lord chose him, and turned to him with forgiveness and gave him guidance. Allah said, "Get you down upon the earth, both of you together. From paradise, some of you are an enemy to some others. Then if there comes to you guidance from me, then whoever follows my guidance shall neither go astray, nor fall into distress and misery. But whosoever turns away from my reminder, neither believes in this Quran, nor acts on its orders et dastura. Verily, for him is a life of hardship, and we shall raise him up blind on the day of resurrection. He will say, O my Lord, why have you raised me up blind, while I had sight before? Allah will said, like this, our ayat, proofs, evidences, verses, lessons, signs, revelations, etc., came unto you, but you disregarded them. You left them, did not think deeply in them, and you turned away from them. And so, this day, you will be neglected in the hellfire, away from Allah's mercy. And thus do we requite him who transgresses beyond bounds, commits the great sins, and disobeys his Lord, Allah, and believes not in his messengers and his revealed books, like this Quran. Etc., and believes not in the ayat, proofs, evidences, verses, lessons, signs, revelations, etc., of his Lord, and the torment of the hereafter is far more severe and more lasting. Ch. 20, 115, 127. Commentary. Why Adam and Eve descended. Some people believe that the reason why mankind does not dwell in paradise is that Adam was disobedient, and that if it had not been for this sin, we could have been there all along. These are naive fictions because when Allah wanted to create Adam, He said to the angels, I shall make a vicegerent on the earth. He did not say, I shall make a vicegerent in paradise. Adam's descent on earth, then, was not due to degradation, but rather it was dignified descent. Allah knew that Adam and Eve would eat of the tree and descend to earth. He knew that Satan would rape their innocence. That experience was essential for their life on earth. It was a cornerstone of their vicegerency. It was meant to teach Adam, Eve, and their progeny that it was Satan who had caused them to be expelled from paradise, and that the road to paradise can only be reached by obedience to Allah and enmity to Satan. Commentary. Adam's free will could. It be said that Adam and the rest of mankind were predestined to sin and to be expelled from paradise and sent to the earth. In fact, this fiction is as naive as the first one. Adam complete free will, and he bore the consequences of his deed. He disobeyed by eating of the forbidden tree, So Allah dismissed him from paradise. His disobedience does not negate his freedom. On the contrary, it is a consequence of it. The truth of the matter is that Allah knew what was going to happen, as He always knows the outcome of events before they take place. However, Allah does not force things to happen. He grants free will to His human creatures. On that, He bases His supreme wisdom in populating the earth, establishing the vicegerents, and so on. Adam understood his third lesson. He knew now in a practical way that Iblis was his enemy, the cause of his losing the blessing of living in paradise and the cause of his distress. Adam also understood that Allah punishes disobedience and that the way of paradise has to be through submission to the will of Allah, and he learned from Allah Almighty to ask for forgiveness. Allah accepted Adam's repentance and forgave him. He then sent him to the earth as his first messenger. Encounter between Adam and Moses. PBUH. Hadith Abu Huraira narrated that the messenger, PBUH, said, Adam and Moses argued with each other. Moses said to Adam, "Your sin expelled you from paradise." Adam said, "You are Moses whom Allah selected as his messenger and as the one to whom he spoke directly. Yet you blame me for a thing which had already been written in my fate before, my creation." Allah's Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, said twice, "So Adam outclassed Moses." Sahih Bukhari. Umar ibn al-Khattab also narrated that the Prophet Muhammad, PBE, said, Moses, PBUK, said, "My Lord, may I see Adam who removed us and himself from the paradise." So Allah made him see Adam, and He said to him, "Are you Adam?" Adam said, "Yes." And He said, "Were you the one in whom Allah breathed His Spirit and before whom He bowed His angels and to whom He taught the names of all things?" Adam answered, "Yes." So Moses said, "What made you remove us and yourself from paradise?" Adam said, "Who are you?" Moses said, "I am Moses." Adam said, "So you are Moses, the prophet of the children of Israel. Were you the one Allah spoke to directly?" Moses answered, "Yes." Adam said, "Why do you blame me for a matter which Allah had predestined?" So Allah's Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, said twice, Adam outclassed Moses. Sahih al-Bukhari. Variation of where Adam, Eve, and Iblis descended. There are many traditions concerning the place of Adam's descent upon earth. Ibn Abi Hatim narrated that Ibn Abbas said, Adam descended on land Dihna, between Mecca and Taif. Al-Hasan said that Adam descended in India and Eve in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, Iblis Bodhistiman, Iraq, and the serpent in Ashahan, Iran. This last was also reported by Ibn Hatim. Asadi related that Adam descended with the black stone, a large black stone set into the wall of the Kaaba in Mecca. It is said to have come from paradise in India, and he had a handful of the seeds, of paradise. He sowed them in India, and they grew into the fragrant tree therein. Ibn Umar said that Adam descended on Asafa and Eve on El Marwa, names of two mountains in the vicinity of the sacred house in Mecca. Part of the rites of pilgrimage, Hajj, includes pacing between these two hills in commemoration of Hajar's search for water. This was also reported by Ibn Hatim. Abdul Razak reported that Abi Musa al-Shari said that when Allah ordered Adam to descend from paradise to earth, He taught him the making of everything and provided him with the crops from paradise. Abu Huraira narrated that the Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, said, "The best of days on which the sun has risen is Friday. On this day Adam was created, and on this day he was descended to earth." Al-Bukhari. Adam's life on earth, Adam knew he bade farewell to peace, and he left paradise. On earth he had to face conflict and struggle. No sooner had one ended than another began. He also had to toil to sustain himself. He had to protect himself with clothes and weapons and protect his wife and children from the wild beasts. Above all, he had to struggle with the spirit of evil. Satan, the cause of his expulsion from paradise, continued to beguile him and his children in an effort to have them thrown into the eternal hellfire. The battle between good and evil is continuous, but those who follow Allah's guidance and should fear nothing, while those who disobey Allah and follow Iblis will be damned along with him. Adam grasped all of this, and with the knowledge of this, suffering, he started his life on the earth. The only thing that allowed his grief was that he was master of the earth and had to make it yield to him. He was the one who had to perpetuate, cultivate, and construct and populate the earth. He was also the one who had to procreate and raise children who would change and improve the world. The first 4 children. The pinnacle of earthly bliss was reached when Adam and Eve witnessed the birth of their first children, a set of twins. Adam was a devoted father and Eve a contented mother. The twins were Cain, Cabal, and his sister. Later, Eve gave birth to a second set of twins, Abel, Habel, and his sister. The family enjoyed the bounties and fruits of the earth provided by their Lord. The children grew up to be strong and healthy young adults. Cain tilled the land while Abel raised cattle. Cain's disobedience. The time arrived when the 2 young men desired life partners. This was part of Allah's plan for mankind, to multiply and form nations with different cultures and colors. Allah revealed to Adam that he should marry each son to the twin sister of the other. Adam instructed his children according to Allah's command, but Cain was displeased with the partner chosen for him, for Abel's twin sister was not as beautiful as his own. Commentary. Cain's disobedience. It appears that since the beginning of time, physical beauty has been a factor in the attraction between man and women. This attraction caused Cain to envy his brother Abel. He rebelled against Allah's command by refusing to accept his father's advice. At first glance, Cain's rebellion might appear strange, but we should remember that, although man has a pure nature, the potential for dichotomy exists. In other words, he had both good and bad qualities. He can become greedy, covetous, possessive, selfish, and even destructive. Man is therefore capable of seeking self-satisfaction, even if it leads to failure in this life and in the hereafter. The path to goodness lies in harnessing the enemy within him, his baser self, by controlling evil thoughts and deeds and practicing moderation in his desires and actions. His reward then will be the delights of this world and the hereafter. Thus, Allah tests us through our divided nature. Abul Adam was in a dilemma. He wanted peace and harmony in his family, so he invoked Allah for help. Allah commanded that each son offer a sacrifice, and he whose offering was accepted would have right on his side. Abel offered his best camel, while Cain offered his worst grain. His sacrifice was not accepted by Allah because of his disobedience to his father and the insincerity in his offering. This enraged Cain even further. Realizing that his hopes marrying his own beautiful sister were fading, he threatened his brother. "I will kill you. I refuse to see you happy while I remain unhappy." Abel, feeling sorry for his brother, replied, "It would be more proper for you, my brother, to search for the cause of your unhappiness and then walk in the way of peace." Allah accepts the deeds only from those who serve and fear Him, not from those who reject His commands. The first Dethabel was intelligent, obedient, and always ready to obey the will of Allah. This contrasted sharply with his brother, who was arrogant, selfish, and disobedient to his Lord. Abel did not fear his brother's threats, but neither did he want his brother to be hurt. Allah had blessed Abel with purity and compassion. Hoping to allay the hatred seething in his brother, Abel said, "My brother, you are deviating from the right path and are sinful in your decisions. It is better that you repent to Allah and forget about your foolish threat. But if you do not, then I will leave the matter in the hands of Allah. You alone will bear the consequence of your sin, for the fire is the reward of the wrongdoers." This brotherly plea did nothing to lessen the hatred in Cain's heart, nor did he show fear of Allah's punishment. Even familial considerations were cast aside. Cain struck his brother with a stone, killing him instantly. This was the first death and the first criminal act committed by man on earth. When Abel had not appeared for some time, Adam began to search for him, but found no trace of his beloved son. He asked Cain about Abel's whereabouts. Cain insolently replied that he was not his brother's keeper nor his protector. From these words his father understood that Abel was dead, and Adam was filled with grief. The first burial. Meanwhile, Cain did not know what to do with his brother's corpse. He carried it on his back, wandering from place to place, trying to hide it. His anger had now subsided, and his conscience was saddled with guilt. He was tiring under the burden of the corpse, which had started to have a stench. As a mercy, and to show that dignity could be retained even in death, Allah sent 2 ravens that began fighting, causing the death of one. The victorious bird used its beak and claws to dig a hole in the ground, rolled its victim into it, and covered it with sand. Witnessing this, Cain was overcome with shame and remorse. "Woe unto me!" he exclaimed. "I was unable to do what this raven has done. That is to hide my brother's corpse." Cain then buried his brother. This was also the first burial of man. Allah the Almighty revealed, "And, O Muhammad, recite to them, the Jews, the story of the 2 sons of Adam, Abel and Cain, in truth. When each offered a sacrifice to Allah, it was accepted from the one, but not from the other. The latter said to the former, 'I will surely kill you.' The former said, 'Verily, Allah accepts only from those who are al-muttaqin, the pious. If you do stretch your hand against me to kill me, I shall never stretch my hand against you to kill you, for I fear Allah, the Lord of the Alameen, mankind, jinn, and all that exists. Verily, I intend to let you draw my sin on yourself as well as yours. Then you will be one of the dwellers of the fire, and that is the recompense of the Zalimeen, polytheists and wrongdoers." So the self of the other, latter one, encouraged him, and made fair seeming to him the murder of his brother. He murdered him and became one of the losers. Allah sent a crow who scratched the ground to show him to hide the dead body of his brother. He, the murderer, said, "Woe to me! Am I not even able to be as this crow and to hide the dead body of my brother?" Then he became one of those who regretted. Ch. 5:27-31. The first murder. From various hadith Ibn Abbas, Ibn Masud, and a group of the companions of the Prophet Muhammad, Pbuh, related that intermarriage of the male of one pregnancy with the female of another had been in practice among Adam's children. Abel wanted to marry Cain's sister, but Cain wanted her for himself because she was very beautiful. Adam ordered him to give her in marriage to his brother, but he refused. So Adam ordered both of them to offer a sacrifice, then went to Mecca to perform the pilgrimage. After Adam had left, they offered their sacrifices. Abel offered a fat lamb, he was a shepherd, while Cain offered a bundle of worst grain. Fire descended and devoured Abel's sacrifice, leaving that of Cain, so he became angry and said, "I will surely kill you so that you will not marry my sister." Abel replied, "Allah accepts from those who fear him." According to Abu Ja'far al-Bakr, Adam was watching their offering and was sure that Abel's sacrifice would be accepted. Cain complained to Adam that the acceptance was due to his supplication for Abel and that he had not done the same for him, so he promised his father to settle the matter between himself and his brother. One night Abel was late returning from tending his flock. Adam sent Cain to see what happened to him. When he found him, he glared at him, saying, "Yours was accepted, and mine was not." Abel replied, "Allah only accepts from the Allah-fearing." Cain became angry on hearing this and hit him with a piece of iron that was with him, and thus killing him. In another version it was said that he killed him with a rock to the head while he was sleeping. Adam preaches to his children. Adam was utterly grief-stricken by the loss of his 2 sons. One was dead, the other was won over by the devil. Adam prayed for his son and turned to mundane matters, for he had to toil for his sustenance. At the same time he was a prophet advising his children and grandchildren, telling them about Allah and calling them to believe in him. He told them about Iblis and warned them by recounting his own experience with the devil and of how the devil had tempted Cain to kill his brother. Adam's successor, Seth years, and years passed. Adam grew old and his children spread all over the earth. Muhammad ibn Ishaq related that when Adam's death drew near, he appointed his son Seth to be his successor and taught him the hours of the day and night along with their appropriate acts of worship. He also foretold to him the floor that would come. Abu Dhar narrated that the Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, said, Allah sent down 104 psalms, of which 50 were sent down to Seth. Adam's death. Abdullah ibn al-Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal narrated that Ubay ibn Ka'b said, when Adam's death was near, he said to his children, O my children, indeed I feel an appetite for the fruits of paradise. So they went away searching for what Adam had requested. They met with the angels, who had with them his shroud and what he was to be embalmed with. They said to them, O children of Adam, what are you searching for? What do you want? Where are you going? They said, Our father is sick and has an appetite for the fruits of paradise. The angels said to them, Go back, for your father is going to meet his end soon. So they returned with the angels, and when Eve saw them, she recognized them. She tried to hide herself behind Adam. He said to her, Leave me alone. I came before you. Do not go between me and the angels of my Lord. So they took his soul, embalmed and wrapped him, dug the grave and laid him in it. They prayed on him, and put him in his grave, saying, O children of Adam, this is your tradition at the time of death. Before his death, Adam reassured his children that Allah would not leave man alone on the earth, but would send his prophets to guide them. The prophets would have different names, traits, and miracles, but they would be united in one thing: the call to worship Allah alone. This was Adam's bequest to his children. Adam finished speaking and closed his eyes. Then the angels entered his room and surrounded him. When he recognized the angel of death among them, his heart smiled peacefully. Successor. After Adam. After Adam's death, his Soth Seth, She'ith, took over the responsibilities of prophethood, according to a hadith narrated by Abu Dhar. Abu Dhar narrated that Prophet Muhammad, PBUE, said, Allah sent down 104 psalms, of which 50 were sent down to Seth. Sahih al-Bukhari. When the time of his death came, Seth's son, Anush, succeeded him. He in turn was succeeded by his son Chinan, who was succeeded by Mahlabil. The Persians claimed that Mahlabil was the king of the 7 regions, that he was the first one to cut down trees to build cities and large forts, and that he built the cities of Babylonia. He reigned for a period of 40 years. When he died, his duties were taken of heir by his son Yard, who on his death bequeathed them to his son Konuk, who is Idris, Piba, according to the majority of the scholars.